Fights presented by Miller Lite from the Mohegan Sun in Connecticut. Taking center stage, heavyweights in a 10-round affair. Davarryl Williamson goes by the nickname Touch of Sleep. The 34-year-old Washington, D.C. native fighting out of Denver, Colorado, 17-1, 16 knockouts. He has won 12 in a row by way of knockout. He's a young man with a lot of grit and a lot of determination. Things have not come easy for Davarryl Williamson in his lifetime. His mom battled drugs. He was in 6 foster homes, attended 6 different elementary schools. But he didn't use that as an excuse. 120 wins as an amateur, a U.S. Olympic alternate. Davarryl Williamson realizes that he is more than just a fighter. He's a role model.
I think the good that comes from within. There's a roar from within Davarryl that says, hey, I want to do something. I want to be something. I want to, do something with my life. And I want to be someone. I want to be someone that my kids, my wife, the people in the community can look up to and say, hey, he's all right.
Davarryl Williamson was all right in his last fight. He took on Corey Sanders. He was giving up 102 pounds in the fight. Williams had a slight edge, and in round number 5, he was able to end things with a 5th-round stoppage. So what was it like for Davarryl Williamson to be in the ring with someone 100 pounds heavier?
He wasn't just a big 300-pounder. He was mobile. He hit hard, and he was an agile guy, and he was aggressive. So I had those things to go up against, and I felt very good after the fight because I was able to overcome that. So it gave me a great deal of confidence as well as a win.
Tonight he gets someone more his own size in Robert Wiggins, the 34-year-old fighting out of East Providence, Rhode Island, 218 pounds, 17-1-1 with 10 knockouts. A little over a year ago at the Mohegan Sun, on one day's notice, he took on undefeated prospect Eric Kirkland. In the 10th round, Wiggins would pull off the upset, winning by way of knockout. After a win against Earl Hayes on the Tuesday night series, he squared off against Derek Bryant last summer in Georgia. Wiggins had a badly swollen eye. Bryant was a bit more aggressive and busier, and in the end, Wiggins was stopped due to that swollen left eye in the 4th round. He's put together 3 consecutive wins, albeit against inferior competition. But Wiggins is ready to step up for the challenge tonight of Davarryl Williamson. What's the scouting report? We start with Mr. Wiggins.
He has a pretty good right hand, sort of like his Corey Sanders. Most of all, Corey Sanders didn't put pressure, and he lay back and get tired and relax. But I think more than anything, you need to put more pressure on the guy and stay busy. You got to keep going with him. He's a good fighter.
He's a southpaw, and I've tended to done well in the past with southpaws. He's not I wouldn't say technically a fundamentally sound boxer, but he's definitely aggressive, and he's gonna, I don't have to send out a search party to find him. He'll be right there.
Robert Wiggins was born in Queens, New York. He's been living in East Providence for the last 10 years, 17-1-1 with 10 knockouts. His only loss on ESPN's Tuesday Night Fights, as we illustrated in the piece, a loss to Derek Bryant. He's been fighting inferior competition. Teddy, your tips for the main event?
Well, for Robert Wiggins, if he's going to pull off a little bit of an upset, first of all, no wide punches coming in. Work your way in by jabbing and stepping in, not reaching, or you'll leave yourself wide open. Once inside, go to work. You're shorter, so when you get in close, stay there and move your hands. And finally, put the punch where he's going to be. Williamson does have a habit of pulling straight back. See if you can step with him and throw the punch behind him, so he'll pull back into the blow. Catch him going back.
Robert Wiggins is ready to square off against Davarryl Williamson, 34 years of age, born in Washington, D.C., living in Denver, Colorado, 17-1 with 16 knockouts on his resume. Coming off the win against Corey Sanders. He had a good win against Dale Crow as well. 12 straight knockout wins. Teddy's tips for Touch of Sleep.
Well, if Williamson is going to keep on that fast track, that winning track, land it right and say goodnight. It's Williamson's out punch. It's where all the power is, and against the southpaw, guess what? It can be the best punch to throw. Use your height by controlling distance and making Wiggins reach in with long shots. Then catch him in between. And finally, make soup of that turtle defense. When Wiggins crosses his arms in front of him, a la Archie Moore and George Foreman, that old turtle defense, there'll be an opening underneath to the body. Drop the right hand downstairs.
Mike Ortega is our referee for our main event. Williams with the height advantage of about 5 inches against Wiggins.
Best of luck.
Williamson had 137 amateur bouts. Wiggins had 10. Williamson has been at it a long time. Didn't necessarily expect to turn pro. After that long amateur career, his only loss stopped in the 4th round in his 3rd pro fight to Willie Chapman. Williamson in the white and red, Wiggins in the solid black with the white stripe. And if you're wondering about Williamson going against a southpaw, well, Teddy, when you have 137 amateur fights, you're used to seeing southpaws from around the world. So Williamson told us it's not that big a deal.
No, it's not. And in the pros, he has a win over a southpaw. Dale Crow was a southpaw, and he knocked out Crow. So like you said, Williamson feels good there with a lefty.
Williamson can be a little awkward at times. He's got that big punch. He'll slip right there.
No knockdown.
No knockdown, says Mike Ortega, the referee.
Wiggins can be wide. He's a shorter man. He's a very game fighter. Very tough. He'll try to get in the conventional way, work his way in. But sometimes he get a little excited. He doesn't work his way in. Those last couple steps, he will reach with wide shots. And that's where he can have problems. Right there, when he starts reaching. It's a funny thing. One of two things can happen when he reaches. He reaches at the wrong time when Williamson is ready to punch. He can get nailed with that good right hand, where Williamson has a lot of power. But if he reaches at the right time, when Williamson is stepping back, and then, as I said in the tips, he can catch Williamson pulling back when he's not ready to punch.
Wiggins, in his last 11 fights, only 2 of his opponents have a 500 or better record. Derek Bryant, whom he lost to, stopped because of that swollen eye, and the win against Eric Kirkland.
We talk about the right hand power with Williamson, but it's very important to have a partner for that power, to make sure that you use that left hand to set up that power as you step up the boxing ladder. And it's very important with the southpaw, because one of the things you don't do when you're with the southpaw is you don't use your jab enough because it doesn't feel right. You feel like you're not going to land it, you're out of position, you feel vulnerable, so you don't throw your jab. And that's the worst thing you can do with a southpaw. And that's the greatest thing a southpaw does against an orthodox fighter. Makes him give up his jab.
Wiggins trying to attack a little bit here in the late stages of round 1. I'll keep an eye on the CompuBox jab numbers. This is a scheduled 10-round heavyweight bout. Davarryl Williamson and Robert Wiggins on Friday Night Fights.
For those who love to bash, gash, smash, and crash, there is Rygar. Unleash your devastating disc armor for a Greco-Roman reality break. Rygar, the joy of destruction. Rated T for Teen. Tecmo, 100% games.
Looking for something exhilarating? ESPN and Mazda 6 present the most exhilarating moment of the year. Was it a monster dunk or a TD and OT? Log on to ESPN.com and vote for a chance to win an all-new 220 horsepower Mazda 6.
College basketball on ESPN. It's another Saturday packed with throwdowns and showdowns as North Carolina takes on Virginia and Cincinnati battles TCU. College hoops all day Saturday on ESPN and ESPN2.
Bob Papa, Teddy Atlas back at the Mohegan Sun in Uncasville, Connecticut. Live boxing action on Friday Night Fights. Davarryl Williamson and Robert Wiggins underway. Round number 2. Williamson in the white and red, Wiggins in the black trunks. See the numbers from round 1. Edge to Williamson as far as the punch output. Teddy, Williamson landed 4 of 31 jabs in that first round. according to CompuBox.
Well, that's what you want to see. He's a taller guy, and he's fighting a southpaw. And as we touched on, one thing that a southpaw can make you do is abandon your jab. And if you're the orthodox fighter, which Williamson is, you don't want to abandon your jab. Even if it doesn't feel as comfortable with a southpaw, even if it doesn't land as often or as cleanly, still use it. It's still doing something. It's still having an effect. It's keeping Wiggins from just walking in.
Wiggins wants to make it a rough fight. He stays to the outside and lets Williamson control the pace.
You know what both fighters want to do, what makes this fight, to me, interesting. Both fighters want to do specific things, and they're both very contrasting. Williamson wants to be on the outside, use that jab, and spot up that right hand, which is a good punch a lot of trainers like to use with a southpaw, and that's where Williamson's big power is, in that right hand. Wiggins wants to get